In a previous video, I was talking about all the cool foreign models that we never got imported over the years. I was given this neat little pamphlet. I'm not really sure the purpose behind it. I think it's more like a collector's, bunch of like Tomos collectors in Slovenia were like, we're gonna put together, you know, a book of our bikes, and that's what's in here. When you scroll through it, you see like you see the picture of the bike and who it belongs to and all that stuff. So I would go through this and kind of like googly eye at the cool models. It's sort of chronological. So this is definitely a chatty streaming, so I'm just gonna be sitting here and going through it. So if you want to message something, I'm looking. At least I'm trying to look. The first handful of pages are just in Slovenia. I have not like even tried to translate it, but I'm sure it's full of really interesting details. Pages there. Okay. Some of the oldest models. The Colibris. The Colibris, I want to say Tomos didn't have a lot of like unique nameage back in the early days because there was a lot of Colibris. It was like all Colibri with various letters and numbers assigned to them, but that was sort of like their brand, I suppose. I don't know what Colibri means. Anyway, some of these early models were simple. Saddle seats, step through, top tankish. I'd say this is a step through for sure, with a bolted on tank. And these motors were very similar. In fact, they were exactly the same as the Puch motors at the time. These were like 3-speed, actually no, the early ones were like 2 speeds. Manual shift, it says that here. Top speed, 50 kilometers an hour. Actually, that kind of move, huh? Hard to tell in the pictures, but they had huge wheels. The mopeds are overpriced nowadays, my friends, and it's because there's just not enough out there. You know, it's a supply and demand thing. There's not enough and everybody wants one. Big wheels. I feel like it tells me. It doesn't say. I recall seeing these. Oh, Colibri's Hummingbird. Well, that does sort of fit the moped, right? You know, small, buzzing. Buzz. Yeah, Hummingbird. I like it. Make mopeds great again. They were never not great. They're still just as great as they were. Keep the bar low, keep it steady. Here's some different ones. Now, what's your take on the MC50 and MC80? You mean like, oh, the dirt bikes? I met the guy who designed them. Boris, I hope I get that right. Boris. He's the same guy who, one of our videos, when we go to Slovenia, I think it's the second or third video, he also designed the electric Tomos. It was an electric conversion on the bottom end of the motor. So it was still like a 2-speed automatic using the actual, you know, A55 bottom end, but it has a electric top end. His name's Boris. He designed all the MC bikes. So that was like in 2005 or 2006. He designed them for the American market. That was like his job. And at the time, you know, he was working for Tomos, but for Hydria, who owned Tomos at the time. That was, I don't know, a move they thought would be a good move. But I don't think the bikes did that well. They didn't sell enough, and the whole project sort of like got scrapped. Whatever they made in like 06 or 07, 08, they didn't make many more. Okay. I'm keeping an eye on the questions, guys. I'll try to answer them as I go back and default to these wonderful models. Now, I remember hearing about this, the Moscow. I've never seen the MC80 at the... Yeah, the MC80 was not a Tomos motor. It was a different motor, and I don't exactly know what it was. I kind of recall one of the guys explaining what it was, but I was just glazing over it because I'd never seen an MC80 myself either, so I didn't really care. But it is something else. Yamaha engine. There you go. It's a Yamaha engine. Yeah, I'm betting if you know if it's a Yamaha engine, it's probably a multiple speed manual shift bike. I hope. Otherwise, that'd be really boring. Moscow. Scooter, and it's crunchy inside. Yeah, motors get crunchy, man. The Moscow, that's a Pook copy right there. I mean, back in these days, in the early 60s, Tomos in Koper, like the factory in Koper, was building their branded bikes, but they were also building bikes for Pook, at least components of the bikes. Maybe even full bikes, to be honest. And they really just kind of went with it. I mean, it's the same exact bike. This is like an Allstate. You know, this is like those smaller wheels that seat the whole thing. So it's branded Tomos, but it basically Pook parts. All right, what else we got? There's some better things coming up. These Colibris, the T-line, T12, T13, what are these? T11, they're beautiful. We had a bunch of these in our little haul. Some familiar faces picked up some. Chad Burke was one of them. He picked up a blue one, I believe. I think it was a T12. And Parker kind of famously got a green one. Yeah, they're fucking sweet. I mean, these ones, I mean, this is it. Leg guards. Yeah, that's it, man. That's the one. Although I do like the long seat, obviously, but the saddle seat, it's pretty European. These bikes came with both motors. They had the old motor and I don't even know the name. Leg guards. Yeah, leg guards, leg shields. You know Tomos automatic motors, the A3 is the regional 2-speed. There actually was like a 1-speed motor before that we never got. Sailboat. I know they do sort of, blow in the wind, I'm sure. Resistance. It directs the air, It's supposed to help. I can't remember the name of that motor, but it was not like it looked like a Batavis motor, honestly. I think it kind of was. It was like a Batavis motor they had on a 1-speed version. Anyway, that one doesn't matter. A3, A35, A55. We all know those motors. They're roughly the same design with little changes here and there. On the shifting motors, very similar situation. They had the original motor, which I don't even know what it was called. A lot of people call it the old timer. It must be an actual name for it, but it was very much that Pook motor. It's the multiple speed Pook motor that was 3 speeds, cable shifting from the hand. If you cut it a 3-wheel Tomos, I have a 3-wheel Tomos right in my backyard. And should we go see it? I'm gonna go show you. All right, quick break. The reason I'm really excited to show you is because I don't think I've shown many people my 3-wheel Tomos, and I bought it here in Florida. Like when the first week I was down here, driving by, I see it for sale on the side of the road, immediately scoop it up, and it hasn't moved. I haven't touched it since. But it definitely ran when I got it. I drove it home. It probably won't start now because it's been sitting, and it barely ran when I first got it. Start experimenting with. No, it's ice cream Tomos. It does have. Well, let's switch over. Okay, now I got the view. Is this the ice cream version? Well, it's not a powered cooling system. It's just a trunk. And, you know, there's some tomfoolery involved. Like the birds didn't come stock. I kind of like them, but a lot of space in there. Hey, Ken. Thanks for saying hi. How was Florida scooping up peds? Shane, it's not great. I'm gonna be honest. This was when I saw this, I said to myself, this is gonna be easy. Mopeds just on the side of the road, and I just got lucky. I have not seen one like this since. And when I do see them like for sale, they're like really, really rusty and have been left outside. Come to Fort Lauderdale. I've been to Fort Lauderdale, not lately. Why? What does Fort Lauderdale have? Does it have secret moped scene there? I'm not aware of this. Yeah, all the bikes I've seen in Florida so far have been like just rusted out. Like they're left outside. Kind of like how these bikes are just left outside. Not good. Not a good example. And then there is. I'm sure they're a bit cheaper. Are they cheaper? I guess so. There are. I feel like there's not as many available, and there's plenty of people looking for them. So when they do pop up, they're gone quick. So it's a similar game. I mean, they're not selling for thousands of dollars, but they're just hard to find. I have a similar white two-wheeled one. 3-wheel, 2-wheel. I thought that was sort of cool. It was a similarly matching set. I'm sure neither run. Anyway, I'm just excited to show that. And this 3-wheeler, what's a good website for parts? Well, it depends what parts you want to get. Treats has got the best overall, you know, moped parts. But if you're looking for Tomos stuff, I got a bunch of stuff on our website, Second Stroke Mopeds. At least new, like, 855 Tomos parts. I don't have the whole gamut. Treats has the gamut. I just have the newest stuff. Switching back over. This whole thing is pretty sweet because it's not just like a freewheel. It's got like, and it's not a differential either. It's a real, you know, I'm not getting a good shot of it. It's got a system back here that makes driving this thing less shitty than it could be if it was just like a fixed axle. I mean, if it fixed axle, I don't know if that makes any sense, but it's nice, is what I'm saying. It's got a nice, not differential, but some sort of maybe freewheel mechanism back there. Tripod Dave would kill for that. Tripod Dave, would you kill for that? I'm just gonna fix this thing up and sell it. I have no like actual attachments to it. I think it's cool as hell, but if anyone wants to buy it as is or fixed up, let me know. All right, let's go back inside. Dun, 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 dun. I regretfully have sold all of the bikes we brought in. I originally kept one for myself, but it was an APN 6, a postal bike. Nice. But I ended up selling it. I got a hankering to, you know, lighten up my load. All right, what's next? I also have some, actually, maybe this is kind of like cool. The land where Tomos started. So many Tomoses out there. I know, I've been there, and they are. When COVID's done, I'm coming back. Maybe I'll get some more. I have a whole thing of like Tomos stuff. Have I got the office decorated? No, I do not have the office decorated. These things might be the one though. I have a whole pack of Tomos. I don't know if they're not reprints. Some of these are original, some of them are reprints, but like Tomos advertisements from the past. I don't know why I'm holding up the boat one, but this Tomos did make boat engines. Let's see. Organize myself a little bit here. Not here, this. I don't know why I have a rag. Gone to Austria. I haven't gone to Austria, though, like, Austria's, like, right there. It's not far from Slovenia. Tomos Colibri. Hey, here's a good question. I see myself, like, backwards, and all my language is backwards. Is it backwards for you, too? Or no? Is it flipped? Someone tell me it's flipped, because I hate to show things backwards. Backwards for me. Not backwards. Okay, good. Ooh. So, what is this? It's a Colibri. Which one, though? Does it say? The 14, the Colibri 14, a newer one, a newer model. Looks fine. It's all in Slovenian, so you can't really see, much. It's explaining things. And, I understand the word motor. I know what a motor is. Don't get it. Don't understand any of it. Let's go to another one. Another boat picture. That's kind of cool. I've seen these, like, up close. It's like, there's a lot of components that are on the mopeds on the boat motor, too. I think it's like, like the electrical system's the same, and the carburetor is like a little different but similar. Gotta get creative. Mix and match parts. Ooh, I have it in the ATX or BTX. I had at least 6 of them before we sold them. They're spread across the United States. I've been to the Tomos Museum. There is a Tomos Museum. Time to get a Tomos motorboat. Yeah, I know, that would be cool. There is a Tomos Museum in Koper. It's small, but it's run by Dean. I forgot his full last name, but Dean, and he's got a couple partners, Steve. I'm screwing up the names, but anyway, there's a couple guys that host the museum. They have their collection. They're the guys that made this book, actually. So, between themselves and other Tomos collectors, they made this, like, book with their best models and whatever. This was just a user guide for me while I'm exploring the Tomos world and all the models. It was a nice guide to help me. That's why I'm so, like, partial to this book. But it's small. It's there in Koper. I think you have to make an appointment because it's not, like, open all the time. And it's free. You just walk in and check them all out. T12. I think that's the one Parker had. Or has. Beautiful photos, Mopeds in springtime. There's a moped phrase. What is it? It's an ass for every seat. Yeah? No? Why is there a donkey in this? I don't know. Slovenia's, a lot of farmland in Slovenia. This is a cool diagram breaking down the shock system, like anyone really cares. An improved version, perhaps, at the time. Spring technology. Nice. Good luck. T12. Actually, it's got the good motor. I think that's the APN4 motor. I'm going to call it the APN4. Fork seals. Yeah, maybe they're probably showing off the fork seals too. Doesn't tell you the size, unfortunately. I cannot help you with that one. Here is a good one. I'm sort of jumping around, but that's the kind of streaming this is going to be. This one. Super desirable out there. I cannot get this. There is no way. Because everyone in Slovenia that owns one of these, and there's a limited amount made, holds on to them like it's gold, like the value will increase one day, and it probably will. This is the the Cross Junior, 50 Junior. They call it the Cross Junior. I sat on one once. I was surprised. The picture really doesn't highlight that this whole piece, the tank seat altogether, similar to other bikes like an MB5, right? Except this isn't steel and like doesn't get all rust out. My friend has a Cross 80. Ooh, the 80. That's the Cross Senior. That's the big boy. A little taller and everything. But the Junior, for some reason, was way more popular than the Senior. Getting back to this, I bet it is. It's fiberglass. Fiberglass, hard, strong. It does look like a Badass Grand Prix. It does. The yellow helps too. Yellow/gold. Anyway, it's not gonna fail, like rust out like an MB5 would, although it is one piece. It's very different. It's very, very different. For hitting the trails, you know? Slovenian trails. I don't remember how many. I think this is a reprint because there's no backside to it. I don't remember how many they made, but I recall it was very low numbers, like 500 or 1,000 or something like that. Continuing with that. Yeah, sick bike. I mean, that's what everybody wants, right? Can you imagine just getting this brand new, like exactly what you wanted? Nice. I threw this in there. This is our advertisement. We put this together, and I added it to the collection because why not? It's a real Tomos. Probably more rare than most of these models, because how many do we really make of these things? 200? Was it even that? Maybe 150? It was very low numbers. Not many. We obviously had plans to do more. And I know for a fact they had the parts to build more, and then they never made them. So I don't know what happened to those parts, but I never got any. The Cross Junior cost $3,000. I believe you. When I was there, I didn't see them for that much, but like 2,000 people were asking $2,000 for this and up. So the price only went up. It's the rarity of it. It's like that model, that look. 15 SLC. Yeah, the 15 SLC, it's a pretty fast bike. We'll get to that. We'll get to those. This is a familiar face. A3 motor. This Tomos, I wouldn't say, it's not a Sprint. They called this, I guess this one was called the Automatic 3C. But, you know, we have our own version for this. This is the Bullet, you know. I know, everyone had these. And you can imagine there was a lot of, you know, American buyers with this, but like the Tomos land was filled with, you know, automatics like this because they were super cheap and yeah, they're pretty sweet. Okay. Oh, close. Is this the one you mentioned? 15 SL? Well, I guess it's not the same. 15 SLC versus 15 SL. I mean, they're very, very similar. Sometimes these, you know, these models are like slightly different from each other. A little seat trim, a little panel. You get a whole different model based on that. Popular model in Slovenia is APN 6. Well, it's the newest one, so they should be around. I had a Posty bike that was APN 6 motor. Oh, wait, APN 6. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, yes, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking APN 7. Now that's a rare story. I'll talk to you about that. I remember learning about the APN 7s. That's an interesting one. There's one in the book. I'll get to that. Let's find that APN 7 stuff. Well, might as well show it off. It's in the book too. The Cross Junior. Yeah, I know the 15 SL, SLC, like those models were pretty fast, and they pushed some stuff on there to get them to really go. You buy a Tomos new today? Well, you can. There's not many left. I have like 4 or 5 more in the box. It's on the website, secondstrokeMopeds.com. I got green one, I got a blue one, and some flexors that are black. Check out the site. Here is, right next, I didn't even notice it. Right next to this, the cross, is the 15 SL. We were just looking at that. Chrome tank. That is a pretty sweet detail. Actually, let's go back and forth. Yeah, look at that chrome tank. That's probably a feature on that model. What's it say here? It says max speed on that 15 SL, 85 kilometers an hour. And I've panned through this book. 85 is up there. That's sort of like one of the fastest. There is one faster, which was the Tomos 90 electronic, the E90, 100 kilometers an hour. Ooh. I know, well, with probably small modifications, you'd probably get these bikes to go even faster. But the E90, which is like a gorgeous bike, I wonder if I have a bigger advertisement of it, had all the stops. It had a stroker kit, not really a stroker kit, but it's a crank that was stroked out for extra CCs. The cylinder head was big bore, and it had a big carburetor and a big intake on it. Pipe's pretty simple, you know. Throw a performance pipe on this thing, I bet it would scream. My website's secondstrokeMopeds.com. That's me, Second Stroke. You could spell it out, second, or you could just do 2ND. Both ways it comes up. Nobody likes the Z850. That's an 855. This is a 2008 bike, Sprint, that has the aerosol kit, 70cc kit. Beautiful fins. Like really makes the cylinder look massive, but it's all air cooling. It's nothing like too crazy. It's the only kit that really bolts onto the 855 with no modifications or nothing dramatic. You can put other ones on there, but you got to consider pipe angle mod and maybe a redesigned intake. The Allo kit was a reed kit. Oh man, really fast. What's the top speed on this? You know, I don't know, it's a good question. I should GPS it. This is for a customer. And I just figured out the problem today. Bad electrical stuff. But now that it's dialed in, it does blast, and it's geared out to go really fast. It's got like a 20 in the back. And that carburetor is a sleeper. That's the PHVA 17 with the customized intake. It's definitely set to go fast. I don't know how fast it goes. I could check it out later. At least 45. Probably close to 50, I'd say. But I'll GPS it later. All right. You know what? Here is a good time to look at the other Sprint. Opinion on Vespa mopeds? I don't know. Vespa mopeds? What's great about them is they use scooter technology, variation, to like really take advantage of a transmission, you know? Whether it's a 2-speed automatic motor or a variated motor, that's really like giving you everything you possibly can get for your buck, a 50cc or 70cc motor. My only problem with the Vespas is, there's a couple little things. It's hard to get to the carburetor. You're limited in what you could do in there unless you do huge modifications. Some weak subframes on the Chow. Really weak. I don't know. They're okay. Not my favorite though. this one, the other Sprint. I was like, why would they call this the Tomos 15 Sprint? And then there'd be like this bike, which is also the Sprint. Like, why would they be the same? But I guess this one came first. And it was a pretty hefty bike, similar to the E90, but it didn't have the same specs. It had a beautiful tank though. It's different than some of the other top tanks. You really can't see it here. I have this advertisement. Yeah, look at that thing. Time to get a dyno for the shop. I don't need a dyno. I have the open road. Just go out there with my phone, my GPS thing on it, no problem. Look at this bike, sweet. What does this remind you of? You know, all of those sweet cafe racer bikes. I mean, this is like a 5-star general, really. I kind of missed that message, bud. So you have an A5 from since the 14 TLS had a nice tank. Why do I not know that? Let's see, 14 TLS. Oh, yeah, you're right. 14 TLS. Same tank chromed out as the 15 SL. On the other side, chromed out with the pad. What's the difference between the two? That's the thing. Some of these models are similar. I guess the first thing I see is that the 14 TLS has these tiny drum brakes, and it looks like on the 15 they made an improvement and made them jumbo. I'm sure they've done other little things like that. All right, what else we got? Well, I can't avoid or forget the postie. Top speed was 105 kilometers. Whew. That's quick. The postie, I didn't have this exact postie. This is an old school one from the 70s. But they always kept the bright yellow color. I guess it's to let you know that the mail's coming. And had those really sweet saddlebags. They made those for the post office, and the reason they're still around is that, well, they were in the public, was they had like a contract. They built a set of bikes for the post office. They'd have them for like a couple years, and then the post office sold them used to the public, and then they bought more. And that was sort of like their deal. So all the postie bikes, unless they were completely destroyed or crashed or whatever, were resold, and you can get them. The DHL yellow. Yeah, sure, the DHL yellow. That's yellow means the mail's coming to some. Now we're getting to some modern. Well, here's one more before we leave. The Cross Senior. And I guess this one's also 50. I don't know if they made a bigger size motor one, but the difference with the Senior and the Junior, same tank and all, but this one was like taller, like way tall. Like, I'm gonna screw up the model, but like, I think Derby, there was Derby dirt bikes. I'm forgetting the model names. DS, not DS. Anyway, like that. Small motor, big frame. And they weren't as popular, I think, or maybe they're super rare, but I never saw the Senior. I only saw the Junior myself. We're getting into some of the good modern stuff. 80s style. BT50. Now the BT50, I was told, if you were 16 years old in Slovenia and you had a BT50, you were slaying. This thing sat for two. You go to the next village and scoop up your girlfriend. I mean, this was the bike to have as a kid. Probably on the higher end side for money and all, but yeah, it just overall is just the sickest bike. Because, well, what do you see? Seat for two, disc brake, mag wheels, big pipe on there, and that's out of the factory. That's got an expansion chamber on it for sure. At least, you know, whatever they thought was appropriate at the time. Motorcycle fairing. I think it had a speedo and tack, although I can't be 100% sure on that. I think that's true. Do I have any ads for the BT50? I was just a little bit more organized, I would have aligned these all up. I don't think I do. If I see it, is there an ATX? Oh, yes there is. ATX. Boom. This was a 50cc. I actually had one exactly like this. Red, mint condition. Sold it. I don't know where it ended up. I think it's in Boston somewhere. I think it even exchanged hands recently. Anyway, sick bike. And this has a weird pipe design. It kind of goes up into the frame. BT50 had a covered engine. What do you mean by that? Oh, I don't have a picture of the yeah, I think that model didn't have the air-cooled fan thing. Some models had the air-cooled fan thing and some models didn't. A lot of people preferred the air-cooled fan scooper thing. I don't know why I'm blanking on calling it the right thing, but as would I. Like, I would prefer that. It just seems like the right thing to do to a motor is to help fan cool it. I know it made a lot of sense when you were trying to get up a hill and you are revving up high but not going very fast. I think that was a common issue for a lot of Slovenians riding these bikes. So those models that were, you know, street, you know, made for the street and for maybe going not too fast, that air cooling was helping. But maybe the more off-road bikes, because they were kind of like moving, they didn't think they needed an air cooler. Plus, being off-road, the damage, getting smashed up on the side, which can happen if you're doing some off-roading, the fan would be a bad move. So they had a whole cover protecting it instead. And, you know, bigger cooling fans on the top end to make up for that. That was the trade-off. Okay. ATX. Next to it is a bike that I have not really touched. Maybe seen one. Yeah, I did see one, but couldn't buy this here. This is one of those rare ones. CTX 80. This bike is big. It looks the same. It's not. It's bigger. It's like that oversized dirt bike look. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how else to explain it. Rare, highly sought out, and not cheap. We have, anyone know when and where the next moped rally is? Rally's been canceled until further notice. You know, I don't know. I don't think anyone's made plans. There was a virtual moped rally. I forgot who did that. Oh, it was like Chad Burke's thing. He had a virtual thing. I didn't check it out, but that sounded fun. That sounds like the right thing to do right about now. A virtual rally, virtual reality. The Hippie. They actually call it the Hippie. They call it the APN 4H. They call it the Hippie. The details that really scream are the ridiculous ape hanger handlebars, chrome tank, and this silly little seat that pops up in the air. The Hippie was a limited run, not many made, 400 or 500 bikes, and very sought out. I mean, like, it's right next to the standard APN 4. What are you really getting? Oh, the Tomos Tori? I think it's in here, and I did see them. They're tiny, tiny little bikes. They're for, like, kids. And they're similar to the MC50. That's sort of like the vibe that the Tori has. Small wheels. Yeah, they're fun. They're kind of like a pit bike. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah, here it is. Here it is. Here's at least a version. A small pit bike, exactly. Tomos Tour. You notice the scaling's not great. This bike is smaller than this Colibri. This is a small bike. This like the highest handlebars is like at my hip. I'm gonna say it's really small. And if you look at it closely, it looks like the MC50, and that's what the American version was called. Although this did come out much earlier than our MC50. This looks like 85. Yeah, we did not get our versions till way later. I'm sure they made changes to it, but it's essentially the same sort of thing. All right, we jumped a few, going back. You know what? Before I go back to the book, let's look at more ads, because the ads I like the pictures better. Another Sprint. The other Sprint. 4S. Cool. All black. Disc brakes, mag wheels. That basically is like the E90, except not 90. This is like the 50cc version. Oh man, I can't tell you guys enough how much the Slovenians love the Revival. I mean, they like really like the Revival. It's like super sought out. If there was a marketplace for buying American Revivals, which most people like want nothing to do with, bringing them back to Slovenia and selling them to the Slovenians, it would be triple your money. They love this bike. Look at this pamphlet they made for it. It's chromed out. Look at that. Look at the gold. The silvery sheen. I will say, if you really look close, this is an early Revival. Look at the freaking details. This is like a machine scooped out Speedo. We did not get this. This ended up being plastic. This is real metal. Look at the polished aluminum. Either the early models or the prototype, they like went all out on it. Look at the cover. A little aluminum cover on the master cylinder. The Revival. You know it's early model because it's the one-seater. Oh man, this one's in English. Revival in the new American style with lots of chrome and new features, including new safety features, including disc brakes. I don't think anyone proofread their language here. Heavier load carrying capabilities and new mechanical improvements like electric start and many others. The moped that brings back the good old days of motorcycle riding, but without the high cost. The Revival at first appearance looks like something from the 50s and certainly not like a moped. See, that's why no one likes it. Finally detailed revolutionary Tomos design and its chrome/dark blue color makes this moped something to take notice of. Fully street legal in all states. Oh, look. This one came with a side stand. Wow. And that pipe don't look normal either. Look at this. Look at that swoop. Yeah, they definitely made some corrections. Oh, well. Look, we have some normal bikes too. This must be from like, I don't know, 2005 or 2006. Hey, look, the Tory. What do they call it? The Super Tom? I thought they only called this the MC50, but I guess the Super Tom was an early model of the Tory. Anyway, that's cool. 14M. They are time machines. I know. It was cool that Constantine was my buddy in the Tomos factory. He set me up with all these old pamphlets and stuff. Simple, original, I think. This is interesting. Hey Parker, what are you deleting your messages for? This little pamphlet goes through, dump them out, typo, that's fine. Several models. Ooh, this is that 1-speed motor that I was talking about. Look at this thing. It's 1-speed. It's got it's a Batavis motor. I swear to God. I'm not really sure where they got this thing, but they stole it from Batavis. And then it even goes into motors for boats and generators. What is these? I guess so. Pumps and bicycles, which would be sick to have for sure. And lawnmowers. I guess Tomos made it all. Did you ride a Tomos Flexor? Oh yeah, I mean I've built Tomos Flexors. We got at least three more new in the box. Look on the website. The generators are called Umo. It is. You're right. Umo. It says motor Umo 06. Yeah, Umo. I guess that's the brand of the model number. Back in the day, this is Tomos in 1973. They made a little bit more than mopeds back then. I should have pulled this out before. Tomos Cross Jr. Fun in the Sun. I think that was a 20-year anniversary advertisement. Wow. One speed has a leather belt instead of a chain. Oh, back to the wheel? Yeah? Leather chain back to the wheel, that's pretty cool. Moped coming for the drive home. Well, Lewis, don't crash. I'm looking at the pictures. I like that little diagram. It's hard to make it out. It's kind of telling you the sizes. Yeah, giving you dimensions, how long. It's surprising how many people ask me. Medicated French toast. We'll see you, Ken. Enjoy your edibles. I'm always surprised how many people ask me the dimensions of the bikes whenever they want to buy a bike, the wheelbase, all this stuff. I guess it's a legit question, but this gives you everything. Handlebar width and all. She's back. So she's on the front and the back. She loves her moped. Oh, nice, Andrew. The shop does its best to keep you on the road. More mopeds on the road is just more business for us. So we want you out there. Yes, the Laura would be the 1-speed Tomos. That's what I was told. Tomos Laura. Maybe the engine's called the Laura. But I remember that. Happy times. I don't know if they put the emblem there. They're we don't like, I could just see the board meeting now. They're we don't like your hand position. We're gonna stick a little badge so that it's less weird. My all-time favorite. I'll tell you in a second, Ken, what my all-time favorite Tomos is. But Parker says, I need a sprocket cover for the T12. Got to hook up. sprocket cover. That's different than the fan guard. Oh. Oh, no, never mind. I thought this was the 1-speed the whole time. No, this is just a simple little A3 or automatic one. Okay. Ah, now this is cool. This. Okay, so this is the most rare Tomos. You know, which one is the rarest? This one, because they only made 3. I'm pretty sure it's as low as 3. This was a concept motorcycle to really compete with the big boys. How'd you get into Tomos? Well, got into mopeds first, and then I picked the best brand, which was Tomos, and there I am. The 175 prototype. Yes, now, I was told, though, that while they did have these prototypes, they had prepared for full production. They had the tooling and everything ready to go for production. And then they never pulled the trigger on it. And I guess just got rid of all the stuff. I'm not really sure. I didn't ever got the real reason behind it. But they were like ready to go. And could you imagine 2 cylinders, Tomos, 175? This is gonna keep up. This is gonna be like an on the road real deal. I know it's a shame. Disc brake, beautiful seat. And look, actually, this is something I really noticed. Look at this tank. This is like the LX tank on steroids. It's got that dip. It's much bigger. And actually, I always like to see this. You're sitting down here. Where are your legs going? It's got a cutout for your legs. It's pretty cool. That's pretty sick. Anyway, doesn't exist. I think there's 3. There's this gold one. I seen this one in person. I saw it at the museum. You could see this. Yeah, this gold color is pretty sweet. It's like goldish, dull kind of gold color. It's pretty sweet. This one's at the museum in Colibri. I've seen pictures of a red one as well. They're just having fun. I don't know. There's a term they use, the original future. I thought it was just bad translation. This, I think, is the concept, is that this is the original futuristic way to get around. This must be this is a copy of whatever. You fold this up and stuff, and they have like a poster on the inside. I really thought of everything. Space, the final frontier for many. Okay. Nice. We were talking about the BT50 earlier, and here's an excellent picture of it. Space Girl. I know, Space Girl's pretty cool. A Danish folder? I don't know. It's possible. The mopeds were big in the Netherlands, so this advertisement could be like from other markets for sure. Here we go on the inside. See, definitely speedo and tack on the BT50. Turn signal. This is a sick bike. Oh, that's not Dutch. Text looks Scandinavian. Okay, Scandinavian. Yeah, they had exports all over the world. I'm not really sure. This does look like this is like a Scandinavian space girl. You know, this is like Elsa from Frozen. That's the kind. Am I saying that right? I hope I didn't offend anybody. I have no idea where Scandinavia is. You should repop some of these. Like reprint them. Well, we can. I have them. We can scan them. Okay. BT50. Probably the best more common. Like they made a lot of these. You can get one of these. There's a lot. Not a great picture. I don't know what they were trying to do here. Yeah, you know, catching the attention of the wrong type of guy. But this is the E90. This is their big fast one. Can't really see much. All right, this is not an advertisement, but this is a photo that I thought was pretty interesting. And it has the moped production schedule for the years. And you can see how the numbers grew. In 1955, which I think was their first year, they made 100 bikes. 56, 1,712. Did a lot better. 57, 7,355 bikes. And they steadily grew. And then 1966 was that current year, 45,000. 45,000 bikes in a year is a lot of bikes. They were really cooking. Of course, things got even better in the 70s, but I don't have that photo. Gotta start somewhere, that's all I'm saying. APN 6. Now this is definitely a common bike. Somebody said that earlier. You could find these all over Slovenia as well. They were simple, not a lot of like details, but you know, in the, I don't know, whenever this bike came out, I'm not really sure, 90s, they were like hotcakes. Super, super simple. This APN 6 actually has a story. I thought a story worth repeating from the 80s. Okay, here's the story. And I'm gonna use the visual. All the bikes you've seen, not all of them, but all of the step-through style motorcycle bikes, this frame, it starts at the head tube, down to the motor, all the way up to the back, is one piece of metal, stamped. Massive stamp needed to make that, and massive press. The problem that they had in the 80s or whenever they had run this stamp for 20 years, maybe, I don't know, maybe longer. It broke, they repaired it, it broke, they repaired it. They did that a bunch of times, so they could not repair it anymore. And this is that classic, beautiful look. Right, all the Tomos, older Tomos models had the same frame exactly. When it broke beyond repair, they came up with a Band-Aid, which was the APN 6. And this frame is not one piece of metal stamped. It's a bunch of pieces of metal welded together. So they had this square tube and another square tube and this, and they have a jig and they welded it off. And their plan was to do that for 1 year until they fixed the other stamp, and then they would go back. And they never did it. They never fixed it, and the APN 6 was the only option from there on in, and that's what they had. There is one exception, and this is where the story gets kind of funny. There is the APN 7. Now, the APN 7 comes after 6, because it came after 6, but it has that beautiful stamped frame again. Here's an APN 7. How did that happen? Because these were leftovers. These were leftover frames that they had stamped but didn't like make bikes out of. And they made this project where they went back and used whatever they had left, and it was sort of like customized. They all had that chrome tank, and that was the APN 7, and that was it. When they were done, they were done. And the APN 6 welded frame was all they had left. That's the story. Kind of a, it makes me laugh a little bit, you know, it's because, like, you head in one direction, and sometimes you just take the easy way out. I don't know what to say. Okay. Boat stuff. Here is a better picture of that CTX-80. Again, this is a big bike. You can kind of see it here. Oh, look, had a single shock too. Ooh, modern stuff in here. Disc, little mono shock tucked in the frame. This was a sick bike. Also hard to find. Looks similar to the BT50 sort of, you know, but this is definitely much bigger and this is definitely harder to find. All right, looks like we're getting down to the end, so we might as well bring up the race bikes. The race section models, I'm screwing this up. They're all the D numbers, D7, D9, D6, depending on what version it is, and they raced them. Some of them had really, really custom transmissions that had, I've heard so many different things, I'm not sure what's true. Some of them were 6 speeds, some of them had like 12 speeds in them to win the races, to win that. There's a famous race that they won, and they did it on the D6 or the D9 with a 12 geared manual transmission. I may get the story wrong a little bit, but that's how they broke the record. I have another picture. Here's a D5. It looks a little bit customized, honestly, but maybe not. This one has the fairings. This one doesn't. Motor looks the same. It says the max speed on this bike is 125 kilometers an hour. This was a 5-speed. So, seeing the D7. Yeah, they definitely had multiple versions. D5, D6, D7. I feel like there was a D9 as well. I don't know what's going on here. Maybe one of the Slovenians could chime in. This was a picture included in my collection. I don't know who this is, but there's a little Tomos motor here, and that's all I got. Maybe he's an important politician. Maybe he's, anybody? Oh, Tito. Okay, that makes sense. Everybody loves him in Slovenia. He made the decision to get Tomos in Koper. I have his picture. Here's another. He was the president of Yugoslavia, right? Before it was Slovenia. Another D something. I'm not sure which one. Looks like there's a few. Actually, looks like these are all Tomoses. Maybe not. That's not a Tomos. I don't know what that is. On the track. Did they make a boat? This I'm not sure. They made the motor. Looks like this advertisement goes from 3 horsepower to 18. One for any size you need. All right, the last one, it's a doozy. It's just funny. I don't know what they were thinking. I know, it's funny. The olden days. I lost my book. I think I'm done showing off things. If you guys have any questions, now's the time. As I where did I put the book? Must be in here somewhere. Ah, here it is. Oh, the book has that prototype bike in here too. I really can't get the same. I think it's the same photo. It must be. It looks the exact same. All-time favorite. That's right, Ken. My all-time favorite. My all-time favorite Tomos. I think my favorite one that I've owned was my Posty bike. APN6 motor, APN6 frame. Because I owned, it was mine. I fixed it up, I rode it a bunch, and I really liked having the ability to use those bags and bring things with me. There is a utilitarian sort of need sometimes, and I really did like that bike. I did sell it. I kind of regret it. I do regret it. But yeah, I think that was my favorite. Lake shields and the spokes. Big spokes. Serious. All right. How did I start with Tomos? Well, I started with, just mopeds in general, but we started the moped shop in 2010 in Brooklyn on Broadway. And there was another moped shop in town called The Orphanage. It was a moped shop hosted by a different moped group that I wasn't a part of. And they had certain ways to do things. One of their very strict policies was vintage bikes only. So, being really into mopeds and I wanted to start a business, I didn't want to crawl all over their toes too much. So Tomos was the only thing available that was new. So I said, I'll have the new ones. I can do the old ones, I'll have the new ones. And I applied for dealership and I got it. And that was when it was Hedria in North or South Carolina. I can't remember. We got the bikes, we sold them. I saw how amazing they were, and I was kind of just hooked ever since. I only had ridden older bikes up to that point, and I had no idea how different a new Tomos was. It was just so much power off the line. Yeah, it was really refreshing. And it made sense because our customers were people who were new to bikes, and, if you're new to bikes, you want something that's good. Had good suspension and, everything was new and it just made sense. So we did that for a while until Tomos stopped sending out bikes. And that was in 2013. So we only had 3 years. And then the story is, one day, this is actually very strange. One day, I got a phone call from this very energetic man, and he said that he was from England, and that he wanted to come visit the shop, and he'd be there in an hour. And so I said, okay, come on by. I forget his name, but he came in with a partner. He was from England, his partner was from Chicago, and they had flown in, and they wanted to see my moped shop and kind of vibe it all out. And their story is that they were business guys and they were investigating whether they were going to be the new Tomos distributors. They were sort of seeing what the existing scene was and all this stuff. So I told them my story, how we used to have the Tomoses and they're gone now. We wish we had them. We'd buy them if they came back, and please get them and bring them back here. We'd love to have them. And they said, okay, and left. And apparently they went to another moped shop. Maybe they went to Chicago. And they were just checking it all out. I stayed in contact with them for a little bit, and I asked them once in a while, what's the status? When are you gonna bring these Tomoses? And they never sealed the deal. I don't know what happened. They never said they stopped pursuing it. They just stopped. So at that point, I was just like, what the fuck? I was like, why can't we get these bikes back? So I started digging a little deeper, and I started contacting old Hydra staff that I knew, and I don't know, I just started sort of putting the pieces together on why we couldn't get Tomos's back. And there were several excuses why there were problems. There were problems because, you know, there's an EPA hurdle that needed to be figured out, and there is a product liability insurance thing that had to be squared away, and these were all expensive, and anybody who was looking at it saw these investments, you know, the cost of EPA, the cost of product liability insurance, and it was just too much risk or whatever, and they just backed down. So I kept on pushing it, and I kept on looking for, well, why can't we solve this problem? How much does it actually cost? And eventually got talking to people in Hydra in Slovenia, and they were telling me what they needed to get done. So I started figuring out for them, the product liability insurance was one of the biggest questions. I got quotes. I just started pushing it more and more and more until the new owner, Istok Pickle, bought into Tomos. And I was going nowhere with the staff at Hydra. I mean, it was just back and forth and back and forth. And then Istok bought the company or got involved. And then he was like, I want to meet you. So we dropped everything and came up with some serious plans to present the new Tomos director, and went to Slovenia and met him and had a whole meeting. And that was sort of the beginning of it. It was sort of like a running from nowhere, just hit the ground running, if that's the right words. He was excited that we were young guys and really excited about Tomos, really excited about getting him back to America, and he decided to trust us. We did, in the end, get screwed over, but it was an exciting, move for me, which, how old was I? I don't even know. Early 30s, 34, something like that. It was a big deal for me to make all that happen. I don't regret it, but I am sad that it didn't work out because Tomos, didn't make it. They might still, but in that current operation, it didn't pan out. Istok was probably making some bad decisions, and those bad decisions sort of ruined it for everybody. Would I consider opening a West Coast shop? Well, I am fixed here in Florida, but we want to open up possibilities for anybody else interested in opening up a moped shop to do under the Second Stroke brand, and franchise opportunities are available. If you're interested in starting a moped shop, just talk to me first, and I'll let you know what we could offer you for marketing, publicity, how to start a business. These are all things that I know how to do, and I can show you how to do them. Interested? And you just send me an email, mopedproblems@gmail.com. All right, we'll go through those questions one more time. See if there's anything. I don't know how I got into a long story. How did I start with Tomos? Fastest ever on a moped. The fastest bike I ever built was a Tomos Gilidoni. I needed to do some crafty shit to get that thing to work. Boring out the cases for the motor to top end to fit, custom intake to scoop around nice. That thing blast. Made it for a customer, Adam. That was his name. And it's not something I would build for myself, but you know, when it's for somebody else and they're paying for it, I build what they want. But it's not something I recommend. I like mopeds that are reliable and go under 40 miles an hour. That thing, you know, ate up clutches, blew transmission a couple times. It was a beast. Coming from Jersey, and I'm 15, and I got my moped license yesterday. I have a Tomos LX. Well, congratulations. Wrong time of year to start riding, but any month now, you'll have a blast in New Jersey. Have I encountered these brands? Well, I know Zundap, I know Puch and Creedler, Hercules, Batavis, Sparta. Yeah, I know all these bikes. A lot of them were imported to the United States. Zundap wasn't. Maybe there were some models that came in like, you know, imported style, but Puch and Creedler, Hercules, Batavis, Sparta, they all had brands here in America. Puch being the only one that's really worth owning. The Creedler had like a really rough 2-speed motor, and the Hercules and the Sparta used, why am I blanking on that motor? I don't know. My mind's shot. Their motors weren't that great. Most expensive bike you bought and sold? Oh, yeah, that's a good one. We had a custom bike that we did. It was a Tomos motor on a Pepe frame. Pepe. Top tank bike. A beautiful, beautiful long seat. Super long. I did have a Pepe at one point. On the West Coast, they're called something different. But on the East Coast, they're called Pepes. P-E-P-E. And it originally had a Minarelli motor on it. M1. No, V1. I'm sorry, V1 Minarelli motor. But we put the Tomos motor on it. And the build included a leather seat. The seat was reupholstered with, I forgot her name, but she was like a very well-known leather upholstery in Brooklyn. The seat cost like $300 just to do. Real leather, real motorcycle grade leather. The motor, you know, was totally rebuilt with kit and the whole caboodle. It sold for $3,000. And then, so that was like a big deal. That was like my most like expensive like build. And then I bought it back from that owner, and I don't remember why. Like he was just over it. And then I resold it for $3,500, just so that I'd make some money on it because I bought it back for quite a bit. And then, believe it or not, I bought it back again for a much better deal and sold it a third time for $3,000. So I sold that bike 3 times. For over $3,000 every single time. That's my moped. That's my expensive moped story. I'm sure it's still out there. It was a very, very good build. It's got to be out there in the world somewhere in New York. Okay. Have you ever been on a Tomos meeting in Slovenia? Tomos meeting? Have you ever been on Tomos meeting? I don't know what that means. Like a meetup, like a ride. I went to the Moped Travelers hangout when we were there. It's in one of our videos when we're in Slovenia, and it was just a hangout. Like they do like a potluck supper, but those guys do ride. Like they'll go to, like I met them in America. They came to America with their mopeds and they rode across the entire country, which took them like, I think like 25 days. They're like diehard, like go, like 300 miles a day, maybe more. And yeah, they like go all over the place. So I that's a meeting. I went to them, hang out with them. But no rides though. We never had like enough time for like a whole rally thing. If I get my hands on a non-runner, can you mail order parts? Sure. If you need something, especially on like a newer Tomos, I have most of the stuff here. You just send me an email, mopedproblems@gmail.com. Do you have Tomos owner meetings? You mean like rides, right? Like meetups? We used to do rides every Sunday in New York, but now that I'm in Florida, I do not do anything like that. I'm sure the shop still hosts a ride, or Upjet is in New York. They host rides. There's a moped group in every city in America that definitely does weekly rides. Upjet, never lose, 100%. Yeah, I mean, I know the mopeds are super popular in Europe, but like they're very popular here too. And if any major city has a group that meets weekly, so I mean, there's just always people riding out here in America. I have a revival. Best brand of motor to swap on fitment? Like you want to get rid of your Tomos motor? No, don't do that. That's silly. Is it worth doing a 70cc big bore kit on a Tomos Targa? Yeah, sure. The best kits for the A35 are the Reed kits. The Allo kit was my favorite, although I do think that's hard to find right now. Treats has a couple versions of the Reed kit. It's great. It's easy to do. What's the deal with the mythical exhaust restrictor in the Tomos A35? Mythical? I don't know if there's a mythical. I mean, is there an exhaust restrictor in any of the pipes? There definitely is. Depending on what year you're talking, you know, to do EPA, to do good emissions for EPA, at least, I know this for a fact, in 06, they added a catalyst in the back of the pipe, but that's A55. In the versions that we brought in, there was 2 catalysts. One was in the header. You could see it, there's like a bulky piece in the header. It's called like a pre-cat, they call it. And then there's another one in the tail. Those were expensive pipes. Hinderingly expensive. It made the whole bike more expensive, unfortunately, but that's just, if you want to pass, you gotta do stuff like that. But for the older bikes, they didn't have cats. But if you really look at the pipes, you'll see the headers are small with thinner passageways. So that's gonna hinder performance. And they didn't have like any expansion. You know, they're just like straight pipes with like some muffler packing material in the back. They're pretty simple. So, you know, on a 2-stroke motor, you can get a lot of gains with pipe shape. So, you know, you replace it with something that's good. You gotta remember, the mopeds are supposed to be sold legally to go slow or with limiters, and you know, the carburetor size and the exhaust pipe were ways to keep them slow. So you change that out and you're breaking its original design. Where did I leave off? It's pronounced puh. Yeah, puh. Yeah. Oh, the Sachs motor. I don't know why, that's why I blanked. Yeah, the Hercules Sparta has the Sachs motor. Right. I don't know why I could not think that. A Tomos board meeting. That's what they meant. I mean, I've been to a couple of Tomos board meetings. Sure, they were boring when we were there. You understand when I don't know how, I'm not at the Tomos factory, you know, whenever they were operation every day. I was only there when I was there. So when I was there, they, you know, they're European. They like, you know, take some time off to chat with you. They take you out to lunch, you know. They wine and dine. That's the European way. So I don't know if it was atypical. It probably was. But yeah, we sat around and talked about stuff, mopeds, and I was there trying to say, all right, how are we gonna make these things better? Do you have a personal Tomos you ride? Well, I sold my last personal bike a few months ago. It was my APN 6 postie bike. Kind of regret it, but I'm gonna put together something else soon. Maybe that 3-wheeler I got. Maybe that's my new bike. Which comments in your videos have struck in your memory the most? You know, we had a video where I had a giveaway involved, and it was for one of the kick scoots. And part of the giveaway was like commenting in the video, and it was comment in the video your favorite like moped problems episode or memory or whatever. And that entire like chain of comments was amazing. It was so fun to go through them, to see like what you guys like, and you know, not that I'm partial because it's, you know, my shop, but like to like see what we like together. It was, I don't know, it was really nice. That video was interesting because tons of engagement, and I was like, this is gonna be a great video. Not that many views. Okay. What's the difference between, I think this is a good question. What's the difference between the biturbo exhaust and the Techno circuit? I thought you were gonna go with something different, but the Techno bullet, which is this pipe, is exactly the same shape as the biturbo. The header's the same, the way this expands, exactly the same, except the muffler is far superior than the biturbo. The biturbo is infamous for rattling apart and just falling off and just being a complete mess. Now, they designed that pipe to be serviceable, so it's got this big circle up in the back that comes out, and then you can pull the guts out and repack it, and that's like, makes sense, but it doesn't hold up. The circle pops out, the rivets rattle through. The biturbos are just disasters. But this pipe holds up. Like these rivets are just like, there's more of them, they're steel, it doesn't fall apart, and this is my go-to. Same exact design. You're gonna get the same sort of performance on the biturbo versus this Techno bullet, but the bullet is where it's at, especially for a 2-speed bike like Tomos. This is the bullet, right? This isn't the Boss, Techno Boss? I don't know. I might be screwing up my models. I can't remember. This is the Boss of the bullet. Doesn't matter. One of those, you'll see it. This one. This is the one that's the good one for Tomos. But then you also mentioned the Techno circuit pipe. Now that's the one that, you know, kind of snails on the bottom and comes out the side. That's a good pipe as well. It's definitely a lower RPM powered pipe. I like to use that pipe for 1-speeds, single speeds, like a Pook E50, because it really helps with that low RPM power. And almost like on the Tomos, you don't get the advantage of that pipe shape for low RPM. So you really need a high RPM pipe for a Tomos. So for Tomos, the circuit's not, it works, so you can get one that fits and that, you know, clears the pedals and all, but it's the wrong design. It's better for an E50. Yeah, that's my take on it. Do I have any experience porting cylinders? I do. but I don't really do it often. I used to do it a lot back in Brooklyn. You know, my problems with certain porting is that some porting you can get gains in all directions, right? It improved low RPM and high RPM, but some gains are sort of like pushing the scale up. So you could get more RPMs, but it'll sort of hinder your low RPMs. And you know, for where I'm located at the time in Brooklyn, everybody needs to go from a standstill into motion all the time. Stoplights, stop signs, and a sacrifice on low RPMs for that off the line power made no sense. If you built your bike up to be like a high rev bike, so you're going way up there, 50 miles an hour, whatever, but losing your bottom end, you can't use it in the city. You can't get anywhere. You're always stuck behind a car or whatever. So those gains just didn't make any sense for New York bikes. So kind of stopped doing them. We do some port matching so that the cylinder matched the case better. That's always good, better flow. But like raising the exhausts, widening the exhausts, you know, all that stuff, intake modification. I don't know, we didn't do too much of it. Are A55 cylinders available? Well, I do not have any. I think I have a A55 head, but not a cylinder. They are probably hard to find right now. All right, looks like we're caught up. This has been a fun, like very long, let's say 93 minutes. Jesus. What time is it? I have to go home. I'm gonna get going, guys. If you have any last minute questions, I'm looking. But I'm gonna say goodbye in a second. Oh no, I pressed the button. My bike is missing the plastics that go below the take. Do you know where I can get plastics on the bikes and legs? Go to Treatland. I don't know if they have the part you need, but they definitely have tons of Tomos plastics. Treatland.tv. They probably have what you need. This was a challenge. Customer brought this bike in. It was previously at a different moped repair shop located in Tampa. Not good, guys. I was surprised. This thing came after spending like over $600 at a different shop and was told that the bike was good. It showed up here and I'm like, what is going on? There was a carburetor attached that didn't have any, like, you know how like the carburetors have like the little nipple for oil injection and the little nipple for a vacuum pump? Just completely exposed, no caps. And they were like, yeah, this is fine. Here, take it. Didn't idle. The pipe wasn't even attached. It was just hanging on with like a hook. It was just a mess. I can't believe it was signed off as okay. Anyway, came here. We fixed a bunch of the issues. Sabat helped me with the first half of it, but Sabat's gone now. I'm here by myself today. I tackled the electrical issues. This had actually encountered a problem on Tomos that I've never encountered before. And this is, a 55 motor. It's got the, 4-wire CDI box and all that stuff. External pickup. The timing was off. And I checked the Woodruff key. It was on. It hadn't slipped. It just was not timing right. And I kind of feel like this was one of those weird, rare manufacturer problems on the hole where the Woodruff key would go on the crank was just in the wrong spot. I tried to compare it with some other motors. Like in the back, I've got a bunch of motors. And I saw something that It blew my mind. I didn't think about this, but let me show you this crank. This is so strange. I think it's here. Look at this. Look at this. Do you see this crank? It has 2 spots where the woodruff key would go. And they're slightly different from one another. One's more advanced than the other. One of them's painted red, and I don't know if that's out of the factory. It has to be. You know, like, this was, shake that off. This was a mistake. And this position must have had the bike run like crap. So it was re-drilled a couple degrees to the right and then put a new pin. I had never really noticed this before. I don't think this, like, someone had done this. You know what I mean? Like, this would be difficult to do. I think it was one of those manufacturer catches and then fixes and then send it out. I mean, there's nothing wrong with doing that as long as it's right. But I feel like that sort of mistake was happening on this bike because everything was fine, physically, but emotionally or electronically, it just wasn't happening. And I had replaced the CI box, I replaced everything, the same thing no matter what. So I had removed the pin and changed sort of like timed it like you would a Peugeot, just kind of like sans woodruff key. And now it works great. So if you have any mysterious moped problems, like bogginess, uncontrollable lean situations, I don't know, stuff that you just cannot figure out, that's something to consider. Check your electrical timing. Best to do it with a timing light to, like, just visually, have a confirmation that it's doing what it's supposed to be doing. Because the slightest change, you saw how different one pole was from the other. One was slightly off. That's a big difference. It has to be correct. Or if it's not correct, it's not going to work. All right, I'm done. Do I own an A3 model? Not right now, but I certainly have. Guys, I'm taking off. We're approaching 100 minutes, which is almost the full movie. I'm going to go. Don't forget about mopeds. This is Pete from Second Sort Mopeds saying, don't forget about mopeds. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.